First things first, I am a hammock camper. I like hammocks. That's what I sleep in when I camp, when I backpack, hike, whatever I do. Hammocks is my preferred method of shelter. Hammock and a tarp. I have slept in tents. I used tents for a long time when I was camping, but I swapped over to hammocks about 8 or 9 years ago due to some back issues. I had a couple back surgeries and I just sleep better in hammocks. So that's my preferred method of camping. However, I recently have been inspired by a couple of friends of mine, TJ and Katie, who go to church with us. They have committed to hike the Alabama section of the Pinhoti Trail. So if you don't know anything about the Pinhoti Trail, look that up. But they are hiking that this year, and I wasn't watching some of their videos. They use a tent that they can both sleep in. It's a small mesh tent. Maybe, just maybe, I can get my wife to go on some outings with me. And she's not real crazy about the hammock thing. She's not real sure she'll be comfortable. Not sure that's her thing. We could both share the tent. She could get used to the outdoor sound. She might sleep better if I was right next to her versus having to be separate off in a hammock. But I didn't want to invest a bunch of money in a lightweight tent and then find out that she wasn't real crazy about it. I noticed that TJ and Katie had been using a small little mesh tent, so I asked him about it and picked me one up. Super inexpensive. It was less than $60, and I was able to use some things that I already had to make it work. So it's a real small investment. It's light enough that I would carry it even for myself if I wanted to. So I want to give you a little quick peek at it. This is by no means a full review, but I'll just give you a quick peek to see what it looks like. This might be an option for you. They're real inexpensive, and from what I can tell, just setting it up here in the yard, it seemed to be well enough made that you know, it could be used as a good option for tent camping if that's what you want to do. So this is what the little tent looks like. It's made by a company called Paria, P-A-R-I-A. It's called the Breeze Mesh tent. It's just the mesh part you see here, and with a bathtub floor, and the tarp is not included. The tarp is an underground quilt tarp that I had, but this is what the tent looks like set up. We used 2 trekking poles to set it up. I'm sure there are better instructions out there as far as how to set this up. I probably didn't do it the best way, but it seems pretty solid. Certainly hasn't been proven in any kind of storm yet, but you know, for a quick first time setup, it went up pretty easy. 4 stakes around the corners, another 2 stakes in the ground with these skylines to hold the center up for the trekking poles. Pretty easy setup. It's super lightweight. It was cheap. I paid $58 for it. You can find them on Amazon usually, but they were out, so I went directly to the website, ordered it from them. I think it was free shipping. It was pretty cheap. It was right around $60 total. So I'm going to jump in here and let you see what it looks like on the inside. All right, so this is what it looks like with me inside. I'm 6'3", about 240. You can see it's pretty tight, you know, on the edges here. But you know, for a small tent, you could easily get 2 people in here. You know, it'd be cozy, but I'm stretched out. I'm stretched all the way out. My head's not touching the head end. My feet are not touching the foot end. Room for another second person here without a problem. So, you know, it definitely could work as a 2-person tent. TJ and Katie, my friends, are smaller, a good bit smaller than me. So I'm sure it works better for them than it does me, but it would work easily for me as a 1-person for sure, with plenty of space for your gear. And if my wife decides to go with me, then it would easily work for both of us. It's got some little pockets here on the sides. They're pretty small, but you could put a small light or something in there. And it's even got a little tie out right here in the center where you could hang a little small headlamp or lantern to give you some light. The back of the tent is the same sill nylon as the floor. you would most likely want some kind of ground sheet underneath it, because it's just super lightweight, thin steel nylon. So you'd want some kind of ground sheet underneath it. But you know, it definitely is a nice lightweight tent option if you're big time into hammocks and you want something to kind of try a tent out without investing a lot of money. I think this is a worthy option. So let me just show you some of the stuff outside, and then we'll wrap this thing up. All right, so you can see the corners are pretty well. They have these little tie outs on the corners, like your typical tent tie out. The door is a single door, rolls back, has a little tie out here, so you can roll the door back. It opens on one side. The zipper seems pretty well put together, no problems with the zipper. Tie out up here, there's a adjustment here for your tie out for your trekking pole. You can make some adjustments there. It's just got a quick lock. I've just got it looped around the top of the trekking pole and then staked in the ground there. As far as coverage, I'm sure there might be some better options. What I've got on here is it's just an underground quilt tarp. It's one of their smaller, just standard cat cut tarps. It certainly isn't centered, as you can see here. I just kind of stuck it up to see what it would look like, and I have it tied between a couple of, well, the tree and a post on the porch. But you could probably get a smaller tarp that would fit between the trekking poles, so you wouldn't have to rely on any trees at all. So that's an option too. But I had this tarp, and so most likely if I use this, I will probably just take a tarp and center it a little better than this, and use that for rain coverage, and not get another smaller tarp, unless I really start using it a lot, and then I might pick up a little bit shorter tarp as far as the ridge line goes, so I could maybe tie it off to the trekking poles. So that's an option if you want to look at it as an inexpensive choice to try to use in conjunction with hammocks. You know, if you've got a good bit invested in hammocks and you don't want to spend much on a tent, this is worth a try. And you know, my wife and I we're not on the same page yet as far as this camping thing goes and backpacking, but we're at least in the same book and talking about it. So if I can get her to spring for maybe an overnight when the weather cools off just a little bit, I think this might be an option. This is the Breeze mesh tent made by Paria Outdoors. So that's what this is. This is the stuff sack that it came in. It came with the stuff sack, these what look to be maybe reflective guy lines, 6 stakes, and the tent and the guy lines is what it came with. So it's pretty lightweight. I have to go back and look. I'll try to denote the weight down in the corner here, so you know it is pretty lightweight as far as backpacking goes. You know, I think it would definitely be not considered super ultralight, but definitely a lot lighter than a lot of the tents out there on the market. So hope you found this useful, and we'll talk to you later. See ya. I'll give you a little idea of the size of the tent and its stuff sack. That's it there on the right. Gallon tea jug there on the left, and then my trekking poles. So I'll give you kind of an idea of what it stuffs down to in the stuff sack, in case you were curious.